The day I stood in front of my husband's company Christmas party and revealed his affair with his coworker wasn't planned. But sometimes life pushes you to a breaking point. 3 months earlier, he'd kicked me out of our home in suburban Connecticut with nothing but a suitcase and accusations. Little did he know I'd spend those months discovering exactly who he really was and who I could become without him. It started with a chance encounter at a downtown Hartford coffee shop. A woman sobbing into her phone, mascara streaking down her face. I offered her a tissue, then a shoulder. Her name was Diana, and she'd just discovered her husband was cheating. We became unlikely friends, sharing our pain over lattes. Then one day, she mentioned her husband's name, Charles Williamson, CEO of the very tech company where my husband Mike had been climbing the corporate ladder for 8 years. The web of lies I uncovered would shock even the most dramatic reality TV show. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the story of how I lost everything, only to gain something far more valuable: the truth, my dignity, and ultimately, my freedom. Mike and I met in college at UConn. I was studying education, he was in business. The classic American love story. We dated for 3 years, got married at his parents' vineyard in the Hudson Valley, and settled into a comfortable New England life. I became an elementary school teacher while Mike joined Tech Solutions, a growing software company in Hartford. His ambition was what I loved about him, that drive to succeed that seemed so impressive back then. My in-laws treated me like their own daughter, especially Mike's mother Evelyn. A proper Bostonian who'd raised 3 successful sons, she'd often say I was the daughter she never had. We'd spend weekends at their Nantucket summer home, and holiday traditions became sacred: Thanksgiving at their place, 4th of July barbecues at ours. The perfect American family. But there were signs I ignored. When I was 28, I miscarried our first baby. Mike was in Seattle for a conference. He called, sounded concerned, but didn't fly home. "There's nothing I can do there that the doctors aren't already doing," he said. His mother came instead, holding my hand through those terrible days. When I mentioned flying out to join Mike afterward, just to be together, Evelyn patted my knee. "Men process grief differently, dear. Don't push him." Then came the grand gesture, our 10th anniversary. Mike surprised me with a vow renewal ceremony at the Breakers in Newport. All our friends and family were there. He gave a speech about how I was his rock, his inspiration. He presented me with a diamond bracelet that must have cost a month's salary. Everyone thought we were the perfect couple. What they didn't see was how he'd been growing distant, working later, checking his phone constantly. The secret began forming that night. After the ceremony, I went to our suite early, exhausted from playing the happy wife. I found a text on his phone while he was in the shower. From someone named L. It read, "Miss you already? Last night was amazing." When I confronted him, he laughed it off. "That's Lauren from marketing. We're working on the Philips account together. She's talking about the presentation we nailed yesterday." I wanted to believe him. So I did. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. Sometimes knowing others have gone through similar experiences in different parts of the country makes us feel less alone in our struggles. Last September, Tech Solutions was celebrating its 15th anniversary with a massive gala at the Wadsworth Atheneum in downtown Hartford. As the wife of a senior manager, I had responsibilities: coordinate with other spouses, help with seating arrangements, make sure everything went smoothly. Mike had been stressed for weeks, snapping at me over minor things. I chalked it up to pressure at work. The night before the gala, Mike came home past midnight. I was still up, finalizing the place cards at our kitchen island. "You're still working on those?" he said, loosening his tie. "It's just dinner cards, Jen, not the State of the Union address. The printer messed up the names," I explained. "I'm fixing them." He poured himself a bourbon, downed it quickly. "I need to talk to you about something." That's when he told me we had grown apart. That he needed space to figure things out. That I should stay with my sister for a while. "You want me to leave?" The night before the gala. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "It's been coming for a while," he said, not meeting my eyes. "And you don't need to come tomorrow. I'll tell everyone you're sick. You're kicking me out of my own home and uninviting me to an event I helped plan?" My voice sounded strange even to me. Don't be dramatic. It's temporary. He went upstairs, leaving me sitting there with a stack of place cards, including one with his name next to mine. I packed a suitcase in shock. Called my sister in New Haven. By morning, I was gone. For 2 weeks, Mike barely communicated. Just texts saying he needed more time and that I should respect his space. My sister Rachel urged me to fight back, to demand answers, but something in me was too numb, too broken. Then came that coffee shop encounter with Diana Williamson. Beautiful, elegant Diana with her expensive handbag and raw, open pain. We started meeting regularly. She was trying to decide whether to confront her husband Charles about his affair. I was trying to figure out what had happened to mine. Men like our husbands, Diana said one day, they think the rules don't apply to them. One evening, she invited me to her Farmington mansion for a glass of wine. As we talked, she showed me photos from company events on her iPad. Charles likes to keep tabs on his employees, she explained. He has the PR team send him all the photos. We scrolled through images from the past year. Office parties. Team outings. And there was Mike, in photo after photo, standing close to a tall blonde woman. That's Lauren Bishop, Diana said casually. Marketing director. Ambitious girl. The name hit me like a punch. Lauren. They seem friendly, I said, my voice tight. Diana gave me a strange look. Too friendly if you ask me. Charles mentioned they were working closely on some big project. Late nights, weekend meetings. That night, I couldn't sleep. I created a fake Instagram account and found Lauren's profile. It was mostly professional, but there were personal moments too. A sunset at a rooftop bar in New York. A weekend hike in the Berkshires. No faces, just scenery, but the captions were telling. Perfect weekend escape with my favorite person. The dates matched weekends when Mike had business trips. I started digging deeper. Credit card statements showed hotel charges in Boston, New York, even Chicago, all when he claimed to be traveling alone for work. Restaurant bills for 2 at intimate places. A jewelry purchase from Tiffany 3 months before our anniversary, but the bracelet he gave me came in a different box. Each discovery was another crack in my heart, but also a brick in a new foundation of resolve I was building. Subscribe to my channel and like this video to help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support means everything as I share these difficult but important stories. December arrived, and with it, Nextdeca's annual holiday party at the Hartford Marriott. Mike still hadn't figured things out, but he had started talking about moving forward separately. Translation: divorce was coming. Through Diana, I learned this party was a big deal, end-of-year bonuses announced, major clients in attendance, everyone dressed to impress. Charles Williamson would be there, along with the entire executive team. I hadn't been invited, of course. But Diana had a plus one. Are you sure about this? She asked as we got ready in her guest bedroom. I was borrowing one of her dresses, a deep emerald green that made my eyes stand out. No, I admitted, applying my lipstick with shaking hands. But I'm done hiding. The ballroom was decorated with white lights and silver ornaments. A massive Christmas tree stood in one corner. Open bar, live band, the works. Diana squeezed my hand as we entered. Remember, whatever happens, you deserve answers. I spotted Mike immediately. He was at a high-top table with Lauren and some other colleagues, laughing, a glass of scotch in his hand. He hadn't noticed me yet. Diana and I made our way to the bar. I ordered a club soda. I needed a clear head. Jennifer. The voice behind me belonged to Evelyn, my mother-in-law. Her face registered shock, then concern. We've been so worried. Mike said you were taking some time apart, but he wouldn't explain why. Are you okay? Before I could answer, Mike appeared at her side. His face went pale when he saw me. What are you doing here? He hissed, grabbing my elbow and pulling me aside. I came to support my husband, I said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. Isn't that what a good wife does? This is inappropriate. You need to leave. His eyes darted around looking for Lauren, I realized. Inappropriate. I laughed. You know what's inappropriate, Mike? Cheating on your wife for months, maybe years. Kicking her out of her own home so you can have more freedom to sleep with your coworker. Lying to your family about why your marriage is falling apart. People were staring now. A circle had formed around us. "You're making a scene," he whispered urgently. "No, you made the scene when you decided to throw away 10 years of marriage." My voice was steady now. "Did you think I wouldn't find out about Lauren? About the hotels, the trips, the jewelry you bought her?" From the corner of my eye, I saw Lauren trying to slip away through the crowd. Behind her stood Charles Williamson, his expression thunderous. "You have company policies about this, don't you, Mr. Williamson?" I called out. "Senior managers aren't supposed to have relationships with their direct reports, are they?" The room went silent. Mike's face contorted with rage and fear. "You've lost your mind. This is my career you're messing with." "And that was my life you were messing with," I replied. "The difference is, I didn't deserve what you did to me." I turned to address the room. "I apologize for disrupting your evening. I just thought you should know who you're really working with." As I walked toward the exit, Evelyn caught my arm. "Is it true?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Ask your son," I said gently. "And ask him about the baby we lost 3 years ago, when he was actually in New York with Lauren, not Seattle for a conference." I left them there, the music silent, the festive mood shattered. Outside in the cold December air, I took my first full breath in months. The aftermath was swift and messy. My phone exploded with texts and calls from Rachel, from Evelyn, from Mike's friends. I turned it off and spent the night at Diana's guest house, staring at the ceiling, alternating between feeling liberated and terrified. By morning, Diana brought news that spread through the company grapevine. Mike had been suspended pending an investigation. Lauren too. Charles Williamson had a zero-tolerance policy for undisclosed relationships between managers and their direct reports, especially when company resources were misused to facilitate them. "He fired 3 executives last year for less," Diana explained, bringing me coffee in bed. "And after what you revealed about Mike lying about his Seattle trip during your miscarriage?" Charles was livid. "That was a company-paid conference Mike skipped to be with Lauren." Evelyn showed up at Diana's doorstep that afternoon. I braced myself for anger, for blame. Instead, she hugged me tightly. "I had no idea," she whispered. "All this time, I thought you were the one pulling away. Mike told us you needed space, that you were struggling with depression after the miscarriage." We sat in Diana's sunroom, and I learned how thoroughly Mike had manipulated everyone. He'd told his family I was emotionally unstable. He'd told our friends I was jealous and controlling. He'd created a narrative where he was the patient, supportive husband dealing with a troubled wife. "The diamond bracelet," Evelyn said suddenly. "For your anniversary. He asked to borrow money for it. Said he wanted to do something special to lift your spirits." I laughed bitterly. "He gave Lauren a Tiffany necklace that same month. I found the receipt." 3 days after the party, Mike was terminated for violating company policies and misuse of company funds. Lauren resigned before they could fire her. I received a call from Charles Williamson himself, apologizing for what happened under his watch. "Diana speaks very highly of you," he said. "When you're ready, I'd like to talk about potential opportunities for you at Tech." The unexpected twist came a week later. While meeting with a divorce attorney, I discovered something shocking. Mike had been gambling online for years. Our joint savings account, which I hadn't checked in months, was nearly empty. The equity in our home had been borrowed against. His 401k had early withdrawals with massive penalties. Financial infidelity on top of the actual infidelity, my attorney said grimly. "Unfortunately, I see this pattern more often than you'd think." I was not only heartbroken but potentially broke. The life I thought we were building had been a facade. That's when Diana made me an offer. The guest house where I'd been staying, she wanted to rent it to me officially, at a reasonable price. "It's sitting empty most of the year anyway," she said. "And I could use a friend nearby." In January, Charles made good on his promise. Tech had been planning to expand their community outreach programs, including partnerships with local schools. With my background in education, I was uniquely qualified to lead the initiative. We need someone who understands both classroom needs and corporate resources, Charles explained during my interview. Someone who can translate between those worlds. I got the job. Better salary than teaching, more flexible hours, and the chance to make a meaningful impact across multiple schools. The divorce proceedings were messy. Mike fought every step, claimed I had orchestrated a public humiliation campaign to destroy his career. His lawyer argued that the gambling was an addiction triggered by my emotional distance. But the facts spoke for themselves. By summer, it was finalized. I kept my maiden name, a small settlement, what little was left, and most importantly, my dignity. The hardest part was letting go of what I thought our life had been. All those happy photos, the memories I treasured, they were tainted now. Had he ever truly loved me? Had any of it been real? Therapy helped. So did the unlikely friendship with Diana, which deepened as we both rebuilt our lives. Charles and Diana eventually reconciled after extensive couples counseling. She invited me to dinner at their home 6 months later, where I met Charles's brother James, a pediatrician who'd recently moved back to Connecticut after years practicing in California. James and I connected over our shared love of education and children's advocacy. Our first date was volunteering at a literacy event I'd organized through NoXTech. By our third date, I knew there was something special between us, a gentle understanding, a mutual respect that felt both new and familiar. You deserve someone who sees you clearly, he told me one evening as we walked along the Connecticut River. Someone who cherishes what you've overcome, not despite it, but because of it. That grand gesture anniversary bracelet Mike had given me? I sold it and donated the money to a women's shelter in Hartford. It felt like closing a chapter, releasing the last physical reminder of the lies. It's been 2 years since that Christmas party. 2 years of rebuilding, rediscovering, and reclaiming my life. I won't pretend it was easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, days I questioned every decision I'd ever made. But there were also moments of profound clarity and unexpected joy. The Education Initiative at NoXTech has now partnered with 27 schools across Connecticut, bringing technology resources and mentorship programs to thousands of students. I found my purpose in work that bridges my teaching background with new skills. James and I moved in together last spring. We're talking about starting a family, though I'm cautious after everything. He understands. Patience and honesty have become our foundation. He left Hartford. I heard through mutual friends that he's working for a smaller firm in Philadelphia. Lauren didn't go with him. Sometimes I wonder if he learned anything from what happened, if he ever truly acknowledged the pain he caused. But that's not my burden to carry anymore. Evelyn still calls me on birthdays and holidays. You'll always be family to me, she insists. Last Thanksgiving, I accepted her invitation to dinner. Mike wasn't there, but his brothers were, with their families. It was awkward at first, then surprisingly healing. The most important thing I've learned is that starting over isn't failing. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. When someone shows you who they are, through their actions, not their words or grand gestures, believe them the first time. If you're watching this and something in my story resonates with you, remember, you are stronger than you know. The truth may hurt, but living a lie hurts more in the end. And there is life, beautiful, authentic life, waiting on the other side of pain. If this video helped you or you know someone who needs to hear this message, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Share it with someone who might be struggling to find their voice or their truth. Every week, I share stories of resilience and transformation because our hardest moments don't define us. How we rise from them does. Thank you for listening to my story. Until next time, this is Jennifer Hayes, reminding you that sometimes losing everything is just the beginning of finding yourself.